Hey everyone, before we get started, just a few quick announcements from the co-hosts and I. First of all, this episode was recorded on January 18th, just 2 days before the inauguration. The first half of the episode contains conversations about the assault on the Capitol and the current political situation in the United States. The co-hosts are all sharing their feelings and concerns. This is not a political podcast. We don't endorse a political party, but we hope these conversations can help you as you process the significance of these events for yourself. So that's number one. Number two, you're going to hear us mention in here that by the time this episode comes out, our Spanish episode will have been published. That hasn't happened. We had a few scheduling and technical difficulties, so that episode has not aired yet. We still plan to air Spanish episodes in the future and continue to do more of that. We want to serve our audience in Spanish. So while that hasn't happened yet, it will happen. And last but not least, Henry has started a podcast with his friend Tony called Tony and Henry on the Same Page. It is a great podcast. If you're looking for more content, totally recommend going over, giving it a listen, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. With that, we'll head into the episode. We're back. Season 3, and we're here. We're here with the co-hosts. And not only with the co-hosts, we're doing a video. So y'all, if you're listening to this, this is our first official episode that you can watch on YouTube.
That's right.
We also have to understand that not everyone's watching this. Many people will be listening to this, but it's really, really cool that we get to do this on video. I was explaining to the co-host that the reason why we're doing it is we had actually multiple foreign listeners. When actually I take that people outside of the United States, since our audience is majority American. But that said, they would follow the podcast if it was on YouTube. And so, you know what? We're going to give this a try for a while. We will see how this goes. Not every episode will be video, depending on who's on the podcast. But here we are. And Ashley is not here because she had a baby. So that happened. But she will be back later on in the season. But to start off, we have, first of all, none other than the birthday twin of Beyonce and the event planner that could make a 2020 birthday the event of a century, Mr. Henry Abudo.
Yes, here I am. Hello, everybody. Welcome to season 3.
Oh my gosh. And we have the revoice mother and former grade school teacher. I wrote these introductions and I was so excited.
Yeah.
Because, well, I didn't write them, but 2 of them I had ideas for. The former grade school teacher that could give us all lessons on how to succeed as humans, Mrs. Bekah Mason.
Oh, love that.
Yes.
Glad to be here. Thanks so much.
Yes. And we have Grant. Grant, the queer treasure himself.
Yes.
Yes. And last but not least, our newest co-host and the queen of Discord, for me at least, Mrs. Sarah Abby.
Yay!
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome to your first episode.
Thanks.
It's so funny. Why do I feel like we're missing 3 people? We're not, but I just feel like we're missing 3 people.
So, apparently, Ashley has the energy of 3 people.
Yep, that's it.
Ashley is just that much. We miss her recording from her closet.
Well, I guess we are.
Closet, yes.
It feels like we're missing 2 people because we're also used to having Mary here.
That's true.
That's true. Yes.
So,
Oh.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Mary.
Shout out to Mary. We love you.
She'll be back on season 21. So.
That's right.
Gosh.
Can you imagine? Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. No. Yeah, we are here to open up the season. And few announcements as we get started. Y'all, we have new Patreon tiers. if you love this podcast and you want to help us, become a patron. Being a patron helps us improve the podcast. It helps us get like nice microphones, like the one I'm using and one Bekah's using. And we were just talking about like getting microphones for more of the co-hosts. And
they mean me. So
no, actually, I was talking to Grant here, but I can get you a microphone too, Henry, if you want. But and also it helps us do more potential work on new projects. But we have two new tiers. One for called Loyal Bees, which is a $2 tier because now we have a Discord channel for people to interact. And more easily give their thoughts and discuss what's happening. And we also have one called Brilliant Bees, which is a $10 tier where you can actually vote on some episode topics every season, vote on the upcoming theme, give questions for the episodes, as well as get discounts on events that we do. So y'all, if you love it, go over there and sign up because we would love to have you. And if you follow this podcast and you want to help us, subscribe wherever you listen to, review it, share it, do all of that. So that's all the announcements I have.
Perfect.
Spread the good word.
Yes. But how are you all? How is everyone doing? Let's start with that. How is everyone? Are you all surviving the 2.5 weeks of 2021 that we've been in so far?
All right, so we're all in the same place. There you go. Yeah.
Henry, why don't you share your feelings?
I mean,
I think you just did.
Yeah, honestly, as I'm looking at things, and we're recording this 2 days before the inauguration, so I don't know if obviously going to listen after, but give them more time reference.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I really, at this point in time for me this year, I'm looking at everything going on, and honestly, I'm just like, it's time for white people to figure this out. Like, unless I feel, okay, look at Sarah, okay, girl, okay, like, unless I feel really convicted by this, unless like I feel super convicted by the Holy Spirit to say something, which knowing me, obviously that will probably happen. But like I really even like the stuff at the Capitol, like I was paying attention for like the first 40 minutes. But then I was like, you know what? This is not my problem or my issue. This is something white people created and they need to deal with. So like I'm gonna go to the gym and I got my ass in my car, went right to the gym, and then I came back home and I baked a cake. I was like,
Amen,
this
brother.
is really not something.
Good
I'm
for
telling
you.
you, I'm like, this is really not something I'm about to be playing with in 2021. Like at this point in time, white people know exactly what is going on, and they refuse to deal with it or not deal with it is no longer my concern. Like I have tried, I have said all I could say, I've written all I could write. We have books, think pieces, everything at your disposal. So honestly, at this point in time, I'm just like, no, this is no longer my concern. So white people, y'all deal with y'all's cousins over here at the Capitol, okay? Y'all deal with your aunties over here on these planes getting arrested. Deal with it. It's not me. It's not my concern. It's not my thoughts. It is not like it's a full wrap for me. So
Good.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the first 2 weeks of this year. So it's a full wrap for me. Like literally, you have to understand how insane it is to think you can sit at the Speaker of the House desk and rummage through it and have no consequences. That is literally the definition of you have to walk in there with such amount of privilege that the capital of the United States of America, I can't. Like, it's wild.
Yeah.
My favorite quote was, I think Ted Cruz would want us to do this, so we're okay. And I'm like, did you call his office and ask beforehand?
Okay.
I mean, I don't think he's okay with this.
A senator would not want you to do that.
No!
Like, I can't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Who would like to go next?
Was I done? Okay, yes.
Yeah. No, I'm at the same place Henry is with that, really, that I keep hearing more and more white people around me saying, but that's not the kind of Trump supporter I am. And I'm like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
Like, if you wait until every single person is radicalized, then we're living in Nazi Germany. And that's not what we're going for. Like, it's time to stand up and say something about the people who are doing that, not letting us know whether or not you are personally. It's time to take some corporate responsibility. Like, we've become so individualized. It's like, well, it's not me, so it's not my problem. Exactly. No, it is our problem. And I've been really thankful that fellow police officers and firefighters and people's aunties and cousins have been turning each other's rear ends into the FBI, because that's the only way anything's ever going to happen. But it is maddening to me. Yes. As used to be a teacher and an administrator, that it took people literally invading the capital of the United States for people to go, oh, maybe I should let people know that I have family members acting a fool talking about overthrowing the government. It really shouldn't have taken that long.
Yeah.
Don't ask the history teacher what she thinks about the last 2 weeks, because I will tell you.
Do you know what's so interesting, Becca? I've been like really thinking like, what a time to be a history teacher, because can you imagine, like, I saw a meme that said, me in 20 years at my kid's school making sure they're getting taught this shit right.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yeah, my first response on January 6th, I texted my AP history teacher, because we are still really close. And I said, this is going to be one heck of an AP essay question in 25 years. And she was like, I know.
Right?
Yeah. I
That was
remember
initial
seeing
processing.
I remember seeing your tweet or your message on Facebook, Bekah, of like the next morning going, man, I wish I was still in the classroom to be able to talk.
Wow.
It has been painful not being in a classroom the last couple of weeks, but it's been good. Twitter's handled it with grace, that I've been kind of lecturing at them.
The internet is undefeated always. So.
Yes.
I decided to get on Twitter literally like days after this happened.
I choked on my coffee when I saw that you signed.
Josh decided to
in
jump
the
back
flesh.
on.
Yeah.
I went back on. I haven't been doing a lot with it, but yeah. Grant, how have you been, surviving 2021?
I just want to echo what has already been said. Sorry, that's my evangelical upbringing. I just want to echo the echo.
Okay.
It's been so crazy, and really disheartening to see. I think the things that have struck me about the last few weeks is truth is just a function of power. Like, it's almost as if for a certain subset of people, truth is only what you can force people to do, and not what actually happened. So if you have political power, you get to determine what the truth is, which I was always warned growing up was going to come from the political left. And so this was kind of eye-opening for many of my friends. So I've been trying to gather my people, to gather people who come from the kind of world I came from, trying to push the envelope a little bit and get the conversation going. So that's happened.
Good.
But on a personal note, one of the members of the house I live in got positive COVID results. Everyone is fine. None of us are really even having symptoms right now. But we're in quarantine for a couple weeks. So we're getting the full pandemic experience. We'll be able to share with the next generation. I went through a quarantine. And yesterday, as of this recording, yesterday our furnace broke. And so we have, so we can't ask someone to come fix our furnace because they'd be putting their life at risk for COVID. So we just have 5 or so space heaters scattered throughout the house.
An electrical danger more than get anyways.
Yes.
Right?
Pray for protection.
I just see
Straight
God
up
there going, how can we
1919
make this
pandemic for Grant.
situation more interesting?
Yeah.
So they better wear a mask and come fix that furnace while y'all all isolate from this person.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
Y'all need to get the person there to fix this furnace, sis.
I know. I think we're gonna get through it. Like, the space heaters are doing their job, but like
Grant,
at
I'm
night,
so concerned right now.
I know.
Grant,
It's
I'm so concerned right
gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine.
Space heaters at night make me nervous.
Yeah.
now. Are you warm, sweetie? Do you need some blankets?
No, I'm warm enough. We turn on our faucet.
Okay, text that girl that lives by you.
Okay.
Okay, tweet that girl that lives by you so she can bring some blankets.
Yes.
No, I've got enough blankets. What I need is a mixed drink.
Okay. What's her Twitter handle? Let me tweet her. and tell her.
No.
Grant needs all the ingredients for an
Just
old
leave it on the
fashioned.
porch, okay?
There we go.
Okay.
Anyway.
My goodness.
Whoever
Well,
loves
you're going to get through this.
Grant.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, please read this. Please read this tweet as you tweet
There's
it.
going to end up being
Whoever-
like an
Grant,
entire
you have to
bar
retweet
on
it just so
Grant's
it
front
pops up
porch.
on your feed.
Henry.
Oh, tag Life on Side B. We'll put it in there too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody DoorDash some liquor to Grant Hartley.
Yes. And lives by him.
Oh, I forgot to say too. I have a biblical Hebrew word study to finish in the next couple days.
Yes.
So,
Oh wow, yes, love that.
You
On which
got
word?
this.
What mixers do you want with the vodka? So we're gonna do vodka.
oh my gosh. I feel like
You should do orange juice and screwdrivers. Yeah, let's do that.
Moscow
Alright.
Mule.
Side of OJ. So he.
I cannot.
OJ
wait
has
to
vitamin
retweet
C.
this.
That's good for preventing COVID.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. That'll be it. Drinking screwdrivers is the way.
It's healthy.
Oh gosh.
Great.
Y'all are too much.
Well, Sarah-
Anyway, yeah, Sarah.
Sarah. Following that, go
How
ahead.
you doing?
Okay.
Personally, there's a lot happening. I graduated a couple weeks ago, so I'm applying to jobs.
Yes. Let me raise a glass for the college grads. Yes, girl.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I was supposed to be moving to DC last weekend, but that didn't happen, which honestly might be for the best.
Yes.
It's kind of a wild time for me moving to DC, but there's just
Girl,
jobs and
could you
moving and all
imagine?
of that.
Could you imagine?
Also
I'm
flying
a
from
black
Texas,
person right now, girl, in DC.
But
and
that
like
would be
on
such
the
a
flight from
story.
Texas with everyone going, like I was not looking forward to it. I was going on Thursday, so I was like, maybe it'll be okay, but I think it will be nice to be there after all of
Yeah.
things have settled, and at least I won't be seeing people on my flight, and then I'll be Ubering to my house and just being in my house for the next few days to quarantine. So personally, there's a lot happening, and I think it's been really weird being American and being Black and just navigating all of that. I feel a lot of what Henry was saying of just like, I think too, I'm an Enneagram 6, and so I've been prepared for the worst since forever. And I think people, even like back to 2016, I remember being not that politically involved, but feeling so deeply how bad the world was going to be with Trump being elected. And so many people in my life, especially like from the conservative spaces that I was in Texas, were just like, it's going to be fine. Like, you're being dramatic. And so I think the last few years have just been confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. And so I think as people are expressing surprise and like these deep grief and sadness, like this is what our nation is and all of that, it's become very difficult for me to engage because like we've been new. This is not new.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has made it really just interesting to engage in my social spaces.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how I feel about the world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh, what about you to flip the mic?
Yeah.
My
Tell
goodness, this has been a interesting few weeks, to say the least. I first of all, in related to all of this, I have been on an interesting ride of paying attention to the people around me and how they've responded to the events at the Capitol. And I have been very paying attention to the fact that many churches I'm connected with, or the church I go to, the service afterwards, you could have put it before the riots and you would not have have thought anything different. And but in general, it's just been interesting to see so many people, Bekah, as you were talking about, saying this is not my issue, or I don't want to get controversial, or all of this stuff. And it's like, no, this is not like about getting controversial anymore. This is about literally, there were crosses next to gallows on the yard in front of the Capitol.
Yeah. This is no longer a political issue.
No, this is a spiritual issue.
Yeah.
The fact that signs that said Jesus saved were used in a violent attack, and
That part.
I am a pacifist, very strongly pacifist. And that is very interesting when you live in a family that glorifies the military many times. But those, it has been a major thing of it has been heartbreaking to see the people many people in my life that I look up to, and I have looked up to, try and justify or excuse what happened.
Has it been, while heartbreaking, not to diminish what you're saying, but to ask a really pointed question, has it been surprising?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, not at all. I mean, I've seen this, like, for instance, people in my life who support Trump. I remember asking them a year ago, going like, what would it take for you to stop supporting
Not support him?
What would it take? Like, just let me know. I want to know what the limit is. Like, where is it at? Like, whatever that is. And most people can't tell me. They say there's a limit, but they don't know where that limit is. And I think I realized, and I don't think they've realized, there is no limit. There's no limit,
I was just going to make a quick note on a listener standpoint, since we are hosts and people are listening. This is not like an anti-Trump podcast or an anti-Trump episode or anything like that. We just happen to be discussing our experiences and thoughts and views, and anybody who is listening that has different views, you're welcome to them. So we don't want anybody thinking that, this is anti-Republican. We're gay, conservative, celibate Christians. By default, we fall into a conservative lifestyle. But it's not that we dislike anybody, any party, or anything. We're just talking about reality and the fact that we have a large majority of people still are not dealing with reality. And so that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. And thank you so much, Henry, for stating that.
Yeah, not dealing with reality. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Diplomatic way of saying that, but it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Because ultimately, really what we, like, if you're on Twitter and you've seen many times and all this stuff, like, what this really comes down to is this is not about, like, the party or about any person. This is about seeing the reality of where Christian nationalism and white supremacy have taken us in our society. Yeah. And the rest of the world is going, what? in the world is happening?
Yeah.
I mean, that's because you have family and friends who live outside the country, and I do as well. And they're literally, it's bad when people who live up in Kenya are literally texting me, like, what is going on with that government? And I was like, this was a really good time to remind myself, I'm not a U.S. citizen. This isn't my president, honey. I don't know what's going on with y'all
Yeah.
and its president. But I mean,
Yeah.
look for it.
It definitely is like, I don't know. It's just been, it's been crazy for me. As I said, to try and like weed through this fact of seeing the response of the people in my life, and trying to make sense of, well, I mean, obviously I have sense of why this is as it is, but just taking that before God and going, God, like, what is my part in this? Like, what is my, first of all, what part have I played to allow it to get to here? And second of all, what part do I play in changing this? And I think that one of the biggest things that I've come about with is has been like, I don't have, I have 64 Twitter followers, okay? But I'm like, okay, so Twitter is not really going to be where I make statements or something, but I have friends and I have family members and I have people in my life who are also, like myself, part of the problem of how we've gotten here. Yeah. And so those conversations and those kind of things is where I can begin to have a part in trying to dismantle these issues of Christian nationalism, white supremacy, and to whatever extent I can. And so that has been a lot of it. There's that's that whole thing. Like, I mean, to kind of sum what my feelings have been, beyond that, I am starting work. Today is my first official day of work. I've had the first 2 weeks off of 2020,
as he's recording a podcast.
As I'm reporting a podcast. But my first 2 weeks have been great. I did a trip to Savannah with a few other gay Christian people in our certain networks, so which is delightful.
I did see some of those pictures, girl. Look cute.
It was so much fun. And the group I went with, we get along so well.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting. Okay, I literally keep forgetting I'm being recorded. I was about to ask you a private question.
Don't worry.
I love something I love about our community is that, like, you can say, oh, I was hanging out with some people from the circles that we run in, and we're all like, oh, we know all those people. We know them.
We know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we've already probably seen it on your Twitter, or I probably have already talked to them about it.
I love us.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, to get into it, because that I think that was really important, and I'm glad. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts, because I think it is important. Some of those conversations to also help everyone listening digest what's been happening.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about season 3. Y'all, if you know season 3, the theme is going to be, Grant, what's going to be the theme of this season?
Identity and inclusion. Right? Yes. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you got it wrong. Failed. So we're here to talk about this. So, we kind of want to start out by talking about why did we choose this theme of identity inclusion? What do even those two terms mean? Especially because normally when we think of those terms, we think of the very big conversation that, plagues all of our lives of how can you identify as gay and be a Christian?
Yes.
And then, like, what does it mean to be included in church? Like, these are normally right where our minds go. And obviously that's part of it, but even in a broader understanding than that, like what do these terms mean for us and all of that? But Grant, do you have any initial thoughts on that? Like, why is this theme of identity and inclusion important? And how would you connect those terms?
Yeah, I think something I've been thinking about the past few weeks is how truly diverse the side B world is. And not just ethnically and culturally, although we have often struggled with that because side B land can tend to be pretty...
Yeah, you saw me look up at this camera quick. I'm glad you were giving that disclaimer.
Yeah, yes. Just because a lot of the foundational organizations and conversations were really white male centered. But I think we've really grown in that. So I'm not just speaking about ethnically and culturally. That's something we can definitely grow in. But like tradition wise, we come from so many different traditions. We have a large Catholic and Orthodox population inside B-Land, which was new to me when I was coming into it. We're from different parts of the United States and different parts of the world, although it's mostly English speaking at the moment. And then we also have different political views, different understandings of what it means to be side B. There's a lot of ways that the community can break apart if we're not careful. And so something I've been thinking about is how to be a community that sticks together and supports each other with all those possible fractures. Because we're so small and not very many people like us. So we really have to be careful. We can't just break apart over the color of the carpet. We gotta
Right.
We gotta stick together because who else is gonna do it? Nobody. So
not many people like us. Oh my God, that's sending me.
It's true. And so, we have to stick together. And a phrase that's come up is how can most of us be uncomfortable some of the time so that all of us can be comfortable most of the time? I think that is a really achievable goal.
That's good, sis.
So I really want to work toward that. And then, you know what? I'll save this for the bonus episode. Never mind.
Okay.
Ooh,
All right. I can't wait.
I don't know what's going on, but I've literally called you sis 20 times in this recording, so I hope you.
No, I love that. I love that so much.
All right. Well, write down your note. Make sure you have it on mine. But I love not many people like us, and we can't break apart just because of disagreements about the carpet.
That's so funny.
Yes.
I wish we could make that into a T-shirt. I like that.
I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Okay, that's merchandise that Revoice this year. Okay.
Exactly.
Unity, because not very many people like us.
Yep.
That's so appropriate to wear to Revoice too.
Bekah,
Oh my
what
God, we
about
can
you?
send what's his face a shirt, and he can dress incognito. What was that man's name?
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about the one guy who tried to go into Revoice?
Yeah,
JD.
infiltrate Revoice.
Yeah, we could give one to JD. That would be amazing.
Oh my God.
Bless him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I think it's going to be a great season because that language continues to be the biggest issue that I come up against in having these sorts of conversations. You can't really have a conversation when you can't get people to agree on the basic words that you're using. So when I'm having to break things down with very conservative churches and differentiating between identity as being the ultimate be all end all and identity simply being a way to describe an aspect of your life, we have some issues. So I'm really hoping that this season is going to help us further clarify. I'm not sure how much clearer we can be, but further clarify what we mean when we talk about identity and what that looks like. That inclusion doesn't mean that we are suppressing the heterosexual nuclear family in order for gays to take over conservative denominations. There's this extreme reaction when we talk about things like that. And so I think spending an entire season dedicated to us talking about this is what we are talking about. This is our vision for inclusion in the church, that we are just able to say, this is who I am, and people aren't going to throw us out. That is a step in the right direction, but it's certainly not enough. That it needs to be, we can tell people from the very beginning, this is what I'm dealing with. This is how I think I see the world in comparison to everyone else. And the church welcome us in and recognize that we have gifts and talents and perspectives that will enrich the church, and to see that we have valuable things to be able to contribute. So my prayer is that this season will help not only Side B people recognize that we have valuable contributions, but that we'll be able to share this with our straight siblings in church and say, here is what our heart is when we talk about how we see ourselves in the church and how we would like to see ourselves in the future.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Henry?
For this season, and then what inclusion and belonging, I think, oh Lord, I've been working on this in therapy and I've been doing this for years. Every time I say I think, I'm like, no, I don't think it. I know it because I'm about to say it. So like, anyways, I know, like I've
Have
literally
that
been trying to break
confidence.
out of that speech pattern for like years. But I know that what I want for this season, and when I think about inclusion and belonging, is that really, honestly, the space to hold on. I'm about to say something. Okay. I was
Oh,
about to say something. I had to set up for this
oh.
one. And so,
He's got to get his
yes.
preaching posture.
You know, girl, you know. Okay, hold on. Let me readjust that.
Y'all put your seatbelts on.
Yes, I'm telling you, Josh, this is why I don't want to be recorded because I'm a chaotic person when I'm being recorded, and at least videoed.
But it is
They would have
beautiful
no idea.
Chaotic
chaos.
good.
Yeah, someone listening to this would have no idea that I'm doing all of this, but someone watching this literally knows I'm in my bed and doing this recording. But um, almost, I want like for us to stop fighting to belong and simply just be.
Yeah.
Like, I'll read some texts or emails from friends about how do I fit in here. I was like, stop. Like, we're either like, I'm done like fighting for space and for room, and I either belong or I don't. Like, I'm not going to force other people to include me, to see me, to honor me, to value me. Like, at this point in time in the conversation and the narrative, like, people, they need to catch up. We're not the ones that need to be sitting here fighting for us to be included. They need to catch up and they need to be doing the hard work to make space for us. But as we talk this season and have various like guests on and interview people, it's like I want the narrative to not be, well, how can we shrink ourselves so we can fit in, but how can we exist in whole ways that allow us to belong in these spaces? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
that's good.
is thoughts on this.
Yeah. Sarah?
A lot of thoughts. I think with what Grant was saying about the diversity of Side B in so many different ways, I think inclusion is something really important to talk about just because if we don't put effort into it, it's not going to happen. And it's not something that,
That
because we're
part.
all Side B, we have everything in common. And now you've met all of your best friends and all these people who are going to support you, and it's going to be beautiful. It's something that you have to put effort into and that we have to put thought into in the ways that we create our spaces and whose voices we magnify and all of those kinds of things. And I think that's been something I've been thinking about a lot in Side B space of how do we make it more inclusive and able to reflect our diversity in ways that I loved what Grant said about not making everyone comfortable all of the time, but making some people comfortable some of the time so that it's a net of people being comfortable at some point in time in spaces and not consistently the same marginalized groups within side B being uncomfortable to exist. And I think with identity, something that I really appreciate is the ways that knowing yourself helps you to know the communities that you're a part of differently. Even in my own coming out journey, knowing queer people was really great, but it really started to click once I started knowing queer Black people and queer Black lesbians. Like the way I was able to know myself and my experience and understand the way that I existed in the world was instantly better because of those people. And so I think that as we know ourselves and know our identity, it then puts us in environments where we can be known and seen and cherished and learn and grow in the ways that really benefit us and that allow us to hear from God in unique ways.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. That's really good.
I think bouncing off that,
Go ahead.
I think the word inclusion is so good because I think oftentimes we can speak as if diversity is a moral achievement, that that it's something that we can get to, but I think diversity is actually just a reality that we are either accepting and working with or we're not. And Side B land, I know, is a diverse place. Just factually, there are Side B people from all these cultures and experiences and political backgrounds. But the question is not, is Side B diverse? The question is, are the institutions that we have set up including people? So I think inclusion is the moral achievement, not diversity, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I'm working. I don't know if, feel free to correct, but that's how I'm feeling right now.
I like that. You go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just going to say that I definitely agree with that. And I think, and now I've lost a thought.
That's okay.
Don't worry.
I feel you.
I know. That I think with inclusion, it's important to, I think sometimes we use this metric, we look at diversity and we're like, okay, like we have this percentage of women and this percentage of men and this percentage of these people, and don't actually make space for people to exist in the ways that they want to exist. I've been thinking a lot about, like, I'm a naturally quieter person, and so I think sometimes people think that they're including me when they force me to talk, and actually that in some spaces just stresses me out more, and that true inclusion is actually giving me the space, and like giving me the space to exist fully is giving me the space to be quiet in a space but recognize my presence. And how do we create spaces that not just include people and look at like what white cis men want and give that to everyone across the board, but look at unique needs and meet those needs within our spaces.
Yeah, like not even just giving equality but giving equity, where everyone has a voice, but like you said, not just the voice that the white cisgender males want everyone to have, but allowing everyone to have the voice that they believe they need to have within that. That's really good. I'm really glad that we're doing this this theme, because I've been thinking about these two words and I was like, identity and inclusion, where do they connect, where do they not? And I think one of the biggest things for me has been like, you identify with where you feel you belong. You identify with the area that you say, this is my home. And so they're so connected, because inclusion is a matter of where you belong. I am included in the place I belong, and then you identify with that thing. We identify with Christ because we are within Christ. We are within the body of Christ, and all of these different things. And I love what Henry, you were saying. For me, is something also this past week I've been thinking a lot about, has been I'm really tired of having to fight for a place, and always having the fear that if I do something wrong, or if I don't have the kind of community that the church would like me to have, if my community looks different, that I'm going to be kicked out, you know? And yeah, and I like, the other thing I like about this theme that we're going to be talking about is that we're getting to talk about a few other sides of inclusion, like we've been talking about here, like inclusion within side B, you know, that how do we make space within this community? Because I totally agree with you, Grant. We are not big enough to split apart. We really have to deal with this fact that we're so diverse, and how do we support each other, and how do we deal with this, and all of that. And so going on with that, you know, we have some really great episodes. We have the QCF live episode that Grant and I already recorded, which was so good, and I cannot wait.
Oh my God, how was that? Because that was literally the day of the insurrection.
Yeah. It was literally like the hour.
Yes.
Oh, like I remember we got out of the recording, and it was like the world had blown up, and we were like, what just happened? I can disconnect from the world for 1 hour. 1 hour.
That's so funny.
Yeah, we finished the recording, and then I stepped out. I was in the library at my seminary, and I walked out, and I looked at my phone to get on Twitter because I was retweeting some quotes from the talk.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And it like waves and waves.
Grant, I saw one of your tweets because I got on Twitter. I remember I walked out of this. I was at this gig and I walked out, and I got on Twitter obviously to see what's going on with this crazy world because someone mentioned it. And then I see your tweet about going into the recording, and I was like, oh, this poor baby has no idea what he's about to walk out into when he.
I did it.
No, it was crazy. But honestly, that episode went really well.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about just what does it look like to how do side A and side B people support each other? What are the ways that we tear each other down? How can we have that? How can we have inclusion within the general LGBTQ Christian community? Like, how can we support each other in those ways? Well, you know, maintaining our beliefs and like each side, and understanding that we are on a belief spectrum in many ways, and so then how do we acknowledge that but support each other? We're going to be talking with the one and only Wesley Hill, David Bennett, and Eve Tushnet in an episode. We're going to have Bill Henson on to talk about language and missions. We're going to have Matthew Ventura on to talk about queerness and identity.
I was like, please mention non-white names soon. Yes.
It's gonna be good stuff.
We're going to talk about... Oh, go ahead, Henry.
Now, are we, speaking of belonging, are we, I mean, I'm sure we have because we did talk about this. But, you know, Greg and his book about finding family, his book's coming out next month. And just kind of finding belonging in a world that doesn't want us to. Mm-hmm. Greg Cohosts.
Yes.
I had not even thought about having him on for his new book. We should I'm going to reach out to him.
Yes, that would be fun.
Yes, launch team here. I'm waiting, girl, Bekah. I am like literally, because he messaged me. See, let me read his text out loud to y'all too. I'm going to put this
please. I love hearing Greg Cole texts. They're beautiful.
So, Greg Cohosts.
There's always so much hope and joy, even if it's about something
I know.
sad or intense.
He says, Thursday, October 22nd, Mr. Henry Buto, by the kindness of my publisher, I've got some copies of my forthcoming book, No Longer Strangers, available to send out to thoughtful writer types interested in the subject. Do you have any interest in receiving a copy? No pressure, but I'd be delighted to send one your way. October 22nd. I said, yep, I would be thrilled. I sent him that. He says, delightful. Also, I hope you're doing splendidly well, my friend. And then November 3rd, I said, every day I check my mailbox for your book, and my heart breaks a little each day it's not there. He texts me, Henry, I've accidentally deceived you. The book doesn't come out until February, so it won't actually be printed and delivered to advanced readers like yourself until January probably. But I hope it turns out to be worth the wait, if you can forgive me for giving you false hope. He's
I
so
love
sweet.
him.
So Like, I'm literally like, I don't know when this book is coming in my mailbox in advance, but I'm waiting for this book.
Oh
So.
gosh. Okay. Yes, I have put it on the list. So hopefully we're gonna have to reach out to him and
Excellent.
have
I
this.
love that Henry
Yes.
just like
Alright.
called an audible in the middle of a podcast.
In the middle of a podcast, yeah.
Ooh, was that a sports reference? Look at me, so butch.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yes.
But do
Oh my
you know
gosh,
which
the math
sport?
girl.
What'd you say,
That's
Bekah?
the
So do you
question.
know which sport that's a
Oh.
sports reference for?
Um,
Oh,
Baby steps, Becca.
Is
I
it-
Okay.
know, I know.
is it football?
It is! Woo!
I
Oh my gosh.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
That's so
Thank
funny.
you.
oh growth. This is what we call growth.
Grant, has anybody delivered vodka to you yet? Let me check.
I mean,
Not-
it's been retweeted multiple
I
times.
oh
I know.
gosh. Oh god.
I retweeted it on the podcast going, this is things that come up while recording podcast episodes. To go on with the episodes, we're going to have a co-host chat about the term side B. Does it still work? Is there a better term? What do we do
Yeah.
with that? We're going to have, as Grant was talking about, we're going to have a faith tradition diversity panel.
So cool.
People Catholic, Protestant, all that in between. We're going to do talk about being rejected from church and side B people that attend affirming churches. What is that experience like? We're going to talk to Joel Briggs about creativity and storytelling.
Yes.
We're going to have a very fun out of theme episode about what I'm calling queer orientation marriage. So like two side B people in a mixed orientation marriage together. We're going to talk about church inclusion from the
Oh,
straight.
yeah, that's right. That's going to be really interesting. Yes.
I'm very ready for that episode. Yeah. We're going to talk about chosen family within the LGBT community, LGBTQ media, when people leave side B, what is that whole experience like? And as well as inclusion within side B, racial inclusion, trans inclusion, female inclusion, all of these things. And we're even then within that going to have a few opportunities where, like I said, patrons, our brilliant B patrons can choose some extra topics that might come in there, whether about being gay in ministry or shame or storytelling, all those kind of fun things. So
Yes.
are there any episodes that you all stand out to you that you're really excited for? Anything like that?
I think, like I mentioned it when we were picking episodes or topics to record, I mentioned just the trans conversation going on this season. As a learner, it's something I'm looking forward to just learning more about and being a part of the solution. And so, yeah, that's one I'm excited about in terms of like learning. Obviously, I'm not qualified to lead the conversation, but I definitely want to listen and
Yeah.
just take in what I can. So,
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything that stands out you're excited about?
Yeah, I am really excited about Joel's conversation about creativity and storytelling.
Yes.
The older that I get, the more I realize the value of storytelling. That I tend to be much more of like a data centered, what's the research, what are the numbers kind of person when I'm talking about fundraising or about change in an organization. And it's just been the last couple of years that I've begun to understand the importance of telling, one group I've worked with calls them heart stories, of really understanding just the human emotional aspect of being able to share and more deeply understand other people's experiences and being able to communicate and even understand your own experiences to a certain extent. And so I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say about just delving into that creativity and that emotional experience of being side B and how to channel that into explaining and understanding our own identity, and really being able to develop empathy in that aspect of inclusion, that as we are able to tell our stories, it helps us with humility and helps us with empathy and being able to bring people into a group, because we do recognize and understand one another's humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what? I'm also interested in this season. I know. Lord, I'm telling you, I'm working on that speech pattern. But kind of like as we grow and have conversations as a team of co-hosts, just like taking the listeners on that. Like I feel like we've just been getting closer season after season. And so just our dynamics, I'm really excited about our dynamics, just like coming across more. Like we have a season under our belt now as co-hosts and whatnot. Now a second one coming in. It's like this is going to be really fun. So I'm excited about that. And like taking our friendship from podcast to video to like where people get to experience it as well with us. So I'm excited about
Exactly.
that.
Like
So,
they're more involved in it in many ways. Sarah, what are your feelings
yes.
about this season? Like, especially being, you know, your first season and all this. Like, what are your
Yes.
thoughts?
She's like, I'm not coming back. Actually, turns off her camera. She's like, I'm done.
I'm done. It's over. I'm really
Peace out.
excited about it. I think a lot about identity and inclusion anyway, and so it was really exciting to me when I heard that this was what the theme was going to be. I'm really looking forward to the racial inclusion and female inclusion conversations. I think those will be really insightful, and I just love hearing what like a marginalized group within a marginalized group has to say about their experience and how they navigate being side B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also have a friend that I talk a lot about female inclusion in side B and just how men have always had the option to choose celibacy, but women haven't. And I think that that makes women, like
That's really
historically,
interesting.
really interesting to think about. Like women have just recently even been able to choose into celibacy and how that uniquely impacts our experience in the world.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that
Okay,
conversation.
girl.
And then I think here I go with the I think the
Mm-hmm.
the co-host conversation about LGBTQ media, because I love LGBTQ media, but I think it will be interesting to talk about from a side B perspective. And that's not something I reflect on often. I tend to kind of read media and not necessarily reflect on how it impacts my experience as a side B person. And so I'm really excited about that conversation.
Yeah.
I read that question somewhere online in one of the forums we're all in. I'm not sure. Well, no, it's one I don't interact with, so I read. So now I do know which one. But I did find the question really interesting, and I was like, "Queer media and how we interact with it." And I was like, "Why is that a topic?" I was like, "No, that actually is a topic." Because I'm like, if
Yeah,
we watch
Yeah.
like romance movies of this, and it's like, what does that do for our? Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm
absolutely.
actually interested in engaging in that question.
Yeah.
Not on the
Mm-hmm.
forum it was posted on, but I do want to engage with that here. So,
Yeah. It,
Yeah.
it
um,
it really is big because so many times we don't realize it, but like LGBTQ media 90% of the time focuses on romantic sexual relationships. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
because it's a big part of it. And so then when that's not a main part of your inclusion, and your identity as being queer, like how does that affect, and these kind of things. So, yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think
Share?
that conversation about LGBTQ media is going to be super exciting. I think Joel Briggs is brilliant, and he makes beautiful art, and I'm so excited for that. But the conversation, I think because we got to have that conversation at QCF a couple weeks ago, but dialogue across ideological lines, specifically with our side A siblings, but also I think dialogue with our more conservative siblings. I think it really excites me. I like sort of navigating tough conversations when I have energy to do so. And so, yeah, I think I'm really excited about those kinds of conversations this time around.
Yeah. Yeah,
Josh and Becca, I keep really looking at y'all's mics, and now that I know y'all, but like, I want one of those like immediately. I'm just like, I want one of those setups.
I told y'all,
We'll be
after
sending
this,
out
we'll
mics
deal with
this
this,
week.
and we'll have mics sent to whoever wants them. Grant, Sarah, Henry.
Patreon
I want
members,
that setup.
we
I was
love
like,
you.
Yeah. We'll have to then
Yes,
do in
I
our
was
next
like-
episode where we go, thank you, Patreon.
Yeah. I'm like, do I need to go to Best Buy and go buy one today? But like, I swear, I had a terrible experience at Best Buy like 2 months ago that I swore I will never set foot in a Best Buy again. I tweeted them that and told them that. So like, now I can't ever set foot in a Best Buy again.
Someplace else
But-
for your microphone. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
We could do, since it's going to be on YouTube, we could do an unboxing of the mics because people apparently love unboxings.
Oh, that
There
could
you
be
go.
fun.
Is that a thing?
It's a thing. Yeah.
It's
It's,
a thing.
actually a thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Wow.
should do it. Just, do it completely in the episode. You three can open up your new mics.
I
that
have
could be
watched
fun.
more dinosaur toy unboxings in the last 2 years than any human being should have to watch. So,
Why?
because my son loves to watch other people open
I was about to say,
toys.
who in your life is into this?
Just a 6-year-old. Yeah.
It's kind of like also my nephew has this fascination with like there's these kids on YouTube that get sponsors because their YouTube thing is them playing with toys. Mm-hmm. And so kids will watch other kids play with toys on YouTube.
Which
Stop.
baffles
No, I'm
I
not
truly
joking.
don't understand YouTube. Like the things that people watch and spend hours watching the content. Like
Yeah.
It's
how?
Yeah. Okay, so how can we monetize this for us? Okay.
yeah. Maybe this can be we can make it a patron like experience because they're the ones that paid for it.
That's true.
Patreon
They get to
So y'all
exclusive
pay for our
unboxings.
mics, and now you'll have to pay to watch us open the mics. Yes.
Don't you love the content we give you? Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Actually, speaking of patrons, we're also going to be doing, as we are monthly patron episodes. That some of them are going to be longer conversations of the co-hosts. We're probably going to do like a little bit of recording after this, and we're going to do a specific interview with Wesley Hill, a specific interview with Eve Tushin and David Bennett, because in the main podcast we're going to have them all together, and then in the Patreon episodes they're going to answer questions from our patrons.
How many episodes are we doing this season? 25?
We're doing technically on our list we are doing 23, so one less than that's 22 English, and then the third one is the 23rd one is the Spanish episode, which we upon recording this episode we have not released our Spanish episode of season 2, but by the time this airs we will have aired.
Oh my gosh, can I be on the Spanish episode?
You're more than welcome to.
I speak a little Spanish. I speak conversational, which was so interesting. So I just got done being a guest chef at a school a couple of weeks ago, or this past 2 weeks, and some of the women who worked in the kitchen were Mexican. I live in Texas, so they're Mexican women, and they were talking about me like they did not know I could understand them. And then so I responded in Spanish, and one of them literally looked like she had seen a ghost.
I totally forgot that you speak conversational Spanish.
What?
I forgot that you have a level.
Yes. And one of so they were talking about, because I was working there for 2 weeks, and I did gain 7 pounds in the 2 weeks I was working there, because we're private chefs working at this gorgeous kitchen at this school. But she said I looked pregnant. She said embarazada. And I was like, I know you just said I look a little pregnant, girl. And I responded, and she was like, oh, I didn't know you could understand me. And I was like, I understand enough of what you're saying. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's literally one of my favorite things ever. I went and did had my car washed. One of the people that was helping me, he spoke to this other couple who were Latino in Spanish. And so I was like, oh, he speaks Spanish, because I try not to assume that every Latino that I speak with, speaks Spanish, because then sometimes they get into no, I don't. And so he did, and it was one of the funny, like, I love those moments where then you'll have it and people will either talk about you, or because then I heard him like talking, and I was able to respond to something that he was actually saying about me in in Spanish, and just like that deer in the headlights look like, oh dear Lord, this white boy speaks Spanish, and I'm like, yeah,
Yes,
I do.
That's awesome.
I
Sorry,
literally
I wouldn't-
forget that you're white, Josh.
I know most people do until they see my last name, but it's funny because it's like in Colombia, I'm known as part of the Guzman family, and so like my adopted family, and so yeah, so many times people. Well, in Colombia, I'm known as. So in Colombia, my nickname is Pedro.
Okay.
Yeah, or I'm just referred to as El Latingo.
Latingo.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta work on my
I always-
Duolingo so I can prepare.
Do
That's right.
it. Yes.
I
I'm already
understand
looking for
Spanish so
every-
much better than I can speak it, but yeah,
Yes.
y'all make me
Josh
jealous.
was popped up.
I gotta brush up on it now.
Every time I need to remember you're white, I just pull up that photo. I already did. Grant, I have to send this to you.
Okay, send it to me right
This
now.
is Josh.
Oh my gosh.
Becca,
I
let me
s-
send this to you too. Sorry, I don't have your number. Okay.
Just put it in the group chat.
Y'all,
I don't
this
think
was,
Sarah has seen it.
Josh's family Christmas card 2 years ago.
Oh, that one is amazing.
Sarah,
Oh my-
I
Becca's
feel
really
like
sweet.
everyone's
I'll
gonna
send
have a heart
I'm
attack
like,
when
look
they
how
see
straight
this.
and good Josh looks. I can't even handle how you look at this.
Okay.
Oh,
Sarah, I'm sending this to you.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
No.
Oh my
So for
God.
context of everyone listening or watching,
okay.
this
Sarah, I
this
just sent it.
this picture is a picture
Pull
of
up
my
the group.
family
Okay, I just sent it, Sarah.
in
the co-host
complete
chat.
camo. Complete camo. And white lace. Girls
I
in white lace.
can't with
I mean,
this
with the
picture.
hunting dogs and everything.
Oh, but Henry, do you want to
Yes,
know a
the
crazier?
dog. It's the dogs for me.
Henry, do you want to
pic
say
will be
something
included
crazier
in the
that-
links below on YouTube?
A link to
Alright.
picture below. Yes, we will
Yes.
link that to this episode.
We will link it, yes. But Henry, do you want to know something
What's
even
crazy,
crazier about this picture? We did.
What?
You have the guns free picture. We also did one with guns.
Did everybody have one?
This is the time that we had the
Wow.
conversation
Stop.
about you in camo,
Yes.
and
Welcome to my family.
that is amazing.
Did y'all send
Josh, I didn't
different
even
ones to like
recognize
different
you.
people? Did you
Henry,
send
what-
like non-gun supporters a non-gun picture and gun supporters a gun picture?
I think we mostly used this picture for like going out into public, and I mean like the guns was like our hunting rifles.
The fact that all y'all own these outfits, like these were on standby.
Oh no, that's my hunting shirt. I have a hunting
I
outfit.
know that. I mean, I just can't.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
the picture with the
man
guns
over
is the
here.
one that goes over the mantle on canvas.
We're really so glad for everyone for
Oh my
listening.
gosh. So
What's it?
Ashley just responded. I love that
Yes.
she has zero idea why I sent this in the group text, but she just responded.
I'm sure she knows. She knows that this has come up.
She's like, why is this sending night now while they're
I know.
recording?
Right. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I have to get my voice back. All right. So, well, I'm really excited for this coming season. This is going to be a really, really great season. And it, I don't know, it's going to be great. I can't wait to do this with y'all. And Sarah, and Ashley, dear Lord, I'm so sorry. Ashley! and Sarah and Ashley and everyone. And I can't believe I did that. But Sarah, I'm very excited to do this season with you as well. I don't want you to think I didn't.
Oh my god.
See, I could have played that off like I intentionally said your name.
This is true.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go with it, and I was like, I guess he's going to correct himself. So
Yeah, I do that. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We can't wait, and we'll see you in our next episode.
That's gonna need some heavy edits.
We might just leave that in there.